Hello everyone. I tell you what, I'm doing my usual thing. It is Sunday afternoon. The house is quiet, so I thought this will be a good time to make some chicken broth, or rather vegetable broth. And also, since the hubby is out right now, he went to a football game, I thought this will be a good time that I could just go live and not have to worry about him having to put him on mute. So hello, and hopefully I've got everything set up properly so that everyone can see. Yes, okay, I see there's 3 people on, so I know I've got it set up properly. So, okay, so I am making vegetable broth, so let's get that lid off. And I wish I had smeller vision, because if you could just smell my kitchen, I've got this roasting pan full of vegetable broth. And what I did was I had 2 huge bags of vegetable scraps that I'd had in the freezer for a while. And I decided, you know what, this is a good time to make it. And I decided to do something a little different. This time I thought I would roast the veggie scraps first. So I put them in the roaster. And this is my aroma roaster that I use for not just turkey and chicken roasting and that kind of thing, but I can also use it to make vegetable broth. So I put the vegetable scraps in here. I went out to my garden and I picked some herbs. I picked some thyme, some parsley, some rosemary, dropped it in there, and I let it roast for about an hour, hour and a half, and then I'll just let it kind of simmer for about the last 8 hours. So now it is time for me to get it out of the roasting pan. And I'm going to start with putting it in these ball plastic freezer jars. And I like these because they hold 2 cups, so I can just put them right in there, and it's easy to do. So hello to whoever that is that joined me. I appreciate your joining me. So what I'm going to do is I've got all of these. Let's get this turned off. I've got all of these veggie scraps in here. And look, let me show you what some of them are. I better watch what I'm doing. If you look in here, let me bring over sometimes I get to carrying on and then I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. So if you look in here, I've got a corn cob in here. I've got onion peelings, partial onions. I've got some peppers. Like, let's say I had some peppers and they were starting to get a little soft. I'll throw those things in as well. So I just throw in all kinds of things, and it just really flavors the broth nicely. And then I just let it simmer. And I don't add salt to it because when I'm cooking, whatever I'm cooking, I'm probably going to add salt in that. But I do add some peppercorns as part of the spices that I put in. So how's your Sunday going? Let's see who's here. Let's see if I can. There's Arlene. Hey, Arlene, good to see you. And somebody else, thank you for joining me. They're saying hi, pretty lady. Doggone, hey, you're back again today too. I know you tend to join me and Leona when we're on quite a bit, so I appreciate that. So I'm getting some good broth so far, so we'll see what I've got. So I've got this much so far. I'll have more. So what I'm going to do is put some of these scraps, and I always think I have everything out, and I don't. I never do. So there may be more broth that drains out of here, so I'll set those scraps aside there, and then I'll gather some more out of here. And it smells really, really good. And then I'll put it in the freezer, and then I'll have some vegetable broth for the week. So guys, tell me how your day is going. And first of all, what are you cooking for dinner? We're going out to dinner today. We're celebrating my husband's birthday. So we're going to go to a seafood restaurant, which is one of his favorite places to go, is, to get seafood. Well, for those of you that know me, you know that I do not particularly care for seafood. So I already checked out the menu to see, okay, what do they have there that I could eat? They do have some kind of chicken strips or chicken wings or something. So I will get some kind of chicken dish is what I'll get. And let's see. That's getting pretty full. So I'm going to put some of this broth into this pitcher here. There. And I don't know, I like making broth. I don't know why, I just like it. And it's one of those things you can make for pennies on the dollar, because I'm using scraps of things that I ordinarily would have thrown out. I have since learned to keep these things. And smells delicious. I'm going to set it over here. And then we'll get the rest of this and see how that goes. So what are you guys making for dinner? Let me know. Inquiring minds want to know. And then this has been a good canning week. I talked to Miss Leona. Well, when I say talk, we texted. You know how it is today. You talk to somebody, either you FaceTime them or you text them or whatever. But she's been making muscadine jelly this week. So her video of that ought to be up by now. So you'll need to check that out. But she helped me to trial my course, Yes You Can, A Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning. And it's looking pretty good. So for those of you, I told you that my water bath canning course was going to be coming soon, and I've got it live now. It is live. I'll put the link in the description box below. I don't know why I don't think to do this before I get this started. But yeah. So if you've been wanting to learn how to do water bath canning, but felt like you didn't know how to get started, well, I've got you covered, because my new course, A Beginner's Guide to Water Bath Canning, takes you through step by step the water bath canning process. And if you've been afraid of pressure canning, you don't have to worry about that, because you don't need a pressure canner for water bath canning. We don't use a pressure canner at all. All you need is a big pot. And typically I will use a bona fide canning pot. Some people don't, but that's how I approach it. I always use a bona fide canning pot. Okay. I think I sometimes get as much broth on the counter as I do in the bowl. Now I love this roaster. I got this roaster from my sister from another mister, Miss Leona. I have been wanting to get one of these, and she just happened to see one on sale, and she said, check your mailbox. And I look outside, and there's this huge box on my porch. And I opened it up, and it was this turkey roaster. And I say turkey roaster because that's what I typically would roast in it. However, you can roast other things in it as well. But this broth is nice and rich, it's nice and deep, and I'm just really pleased with it. I'm gonna set that one in there, and look at all these scraps that I've got. I'm gonna set these down in the sink. Then here's that other bowl. I'm gonna just pour this in there now. And I tell you what though, I can make a mess. My husband said I can tear up a kitchen in minutes. So you know, when I got started, there was nothing on this counter. Okay, I'm gonna let that. Now I'm gonna rinse this off. Okay, so this is one of my scoops that I like to use. It's actually one of my canning scoops is what it is. And let me put, and I think you should be able to see that without any trouble at all. I'll put some of this in a, it holds 2 cups. And these ball canning jars, they have like a fill to here line. So I know like how far not to go, because you know when you freeze things, they expand, and the lids that go on are like this, and it'll push them off. But I'm not going to put the lid on now because they're hot. But let me show you, you can also use your glass canning jars to freeze your chicken broth in, and other things as well. These are straight jars, so they don't have a neck or shoulder. They're just straight. A jar with a neck or shoulder would be one of these. This is the neck and this is the shoulder. And you can't freeze things in these kind of jars very well, because when they expand, often it causes it to crack either here around the shoulder or around the neck. So, I'll let you see what my broth actually looks like in the jar. It really looks beautiful. And since it's mostly vegetable scraps, I don't have to worry about like fat and that kind of thing in there. I need just a tad bit more. There. Look at that broth. Isn't it beautiful? Okay, so my plan though was to use these up first. And then I will move over to those when I'm done. Let me wipe this up, because I'm not trying to make a mess, which I frequently will do. So I was telling you guys about my water bath canning course, and that Miss Leona trialed it for me. And she trialed it she trialed it by going through all the modules and all of that. And then she made some muscadine jelly. Now, muscadines are those really big grapes. So if you've not seen those, oh, they're delicious. They're really big grapes. And it looked so good. I wanted to taste it myself, but of course I could not. So how many of you out there have wanted to try water bath canning but just didn't know how to get started? Or many of you out there wanted to make your own homemade broth and didn't know what to do to get started? To make your own homemade broth is really easy. All you have to do is just save your scraps. So every time I make any kind of dish that has carrots in it, celery or onions, I wash them off really well and give them a good brushing with a brush, get them washed off really well, and then I put them in the freezer. And when I have a couple of freezer bags full, I'll make broth. And you can do one of two things. You can just put it in your crock pot and let it just kind of simmer in the crock pot overnight, or you can put it in your roaster and roast your vegetable scraps first to kind of bring out the flavor in them, and then add 2 or 3 pitchers of water. And I will use, like, this is a 2-quart pitcher, so depending upon how big or how much, you know, how many vegetable scraps I've got will determine how much water I add. So I think I added like 4 or 5 of these, and then I just let it cook or simmer for a while, and then as it cooks down, and these are 2-cup containers. So already I've got 7 2-cup containers of vegetable broth. And I'll let it sit until it cools off, and then once it cools off, I'll put it in the freezer. So these are all of the ball plastic freezer jars that I have. I have 8 of them because they come in sets of 2. So I'll tend to buy a couple, and then later on I'll go and get another one and that kind of thing. But of course, I've got plenty of pint jars. And I like the wide mouth pint jars. At the time when I bought them, I didn't know why I liked them. I just knew that I did. But now I'm glad that I did get the wide mouth, because I can use these for my broth. Yeah. So as soon as I get this all jarred up, and I'm just gonna let it sit here on the counter as it cools off, I give it a taste so you can see me do that, and then I'll check to see who's on and what folks have got to say and that kind of thing. Well, looks like I'm just about done here. Yeah, there we go. There's a little bit in here, so I'll get that in. Let's give it a taste. So we'll taste this one. It's got great flavor. It's really got good flavor. I'm really appreciative of that. So I've got 3 and about 2/3 of the glass jars, and then I've got 6 of the plastic jars. So I will come around there now and I will see what you guys have to say. So let me just bring you over and I'll grab a chair. and I will sit down and see what you guys have to say. So, okay, let's see. Arlene, so good to have you here. I am glad that you're joining me from Virginia. So thank you for doing that. And then NNC is just saying, hi, pretty lady, good seeing you. So thank you for joining me again. Doggone is here often, and Doggone, I forgot your name, Doggone, but she says she's really in the mood for all things on the home front. And you know, jams, jellies, sauces, and sauces. And right now it's making season. And when I say making season, that means it's time to start making things because products are coming in season. So apples are coming into season. They're not quite in season here where I live yet. We really get apples in big time late August and September. We start having our apple festivals and all that kind of stuff. But they're coming into season now. Here, Michigan, apples are in season. In other places, apples are in season. Tomatoes are in season. Corn is almost in season here. Right now, you can get it in the grocery store for like $3 for $1. But when it's really in season, big time, they'll be in the store $5 for $1. But so corn's in season. And a lot of those things that people are growing are in season now. So it's time for us to start making some of these things ourselves. So I'm going to be drying some herbs because my herb garden is doing really well. My cherry tomatoes are doing well. And so we've been having lots of salads with the cherry tomatoes, just really, really good coming in. So I'm really pleased with that. However, I have one plant that the tomatoes didn't come in right. They have some kind of a rot at the base of the tomato. If anybody knows what that's about, if you could let me know. I think I'm just going to pull that one up and discard it because the tomatoes come in, they're about this long, but on the base of the tomato, it's just black. But anyway, people are saying hi. Hey, Jerry, good to have you on with me. And I was doing a grocery haul yesterday. I don't have it done yet, but I had on that shirt you gave me, Bellevue Farms, I think. I can't remember the name of it now. Bellevue Farms, I think, but I had that shirt on. And thank you for telling Mr. Jordan happy birthday. Yeah, we're going to a seafood place to celebrate his birthday. Lurker Smurf says, love doing veggie broth. My friend was over once while I had a bad simmering, and he thought it was a whole involved soup. Exactly. My son, who popped in to surprise my husband for his birthday, was like, he says, what's that? I said, oh, it's dinner. He said, oh, what is it? And I says, no, it's not dinner. It's like vegetable scraps. I'm making broth. But it smells like you're making soup. So Lurker Smurf says having salad and barbecue pork sliders on homemade Hawaiian rolls. Love it. Found a lovely copycat recipe and the secret ingredient is pineapple juice. Jerry says she has chicken and vegetables in the crock pot for the kids. She's going to have Thai coconut curry that she made a bit ago. And you know, Jerry, I've been doing more plant-based. Now, this weekend has been a wash because we've been out a lot. We've been to birthday parties and this, that, and the other. So it's just been a wash. But once everybody gets back home to their spots, we're going to go back to, I'm going to be having more plant-based. And I'm trying to do where I make meat maybe twice a week. And then the rest of the week is plant-based. And so it's been working out okay. But NNC says, yeah, we need smell-o-vision. It does smell really good, I must say. And then a Lurker says she's used a stock pot for years. Prefer the canning pot once she got it because everything fits properly. Yes. So when I recommend water bath canning, I encourage people to buy a proper canning pot. However, people have water bath canned for years without a proper pot, meaning a pot that has the wire rack that fits in it. The ones that don't have a wire rack, what they do is they fold up a towel, put the towel at the base of the pot, and then they fill that with water and they set the jars on top of the towel, because what you don't want to have happen is for the jars to be on the bottom of the pot right next to the heating element. I've not done that. That's not best practice, so I don't recommend doing that, but there are people that do that and they do it just fine and they have no problem at all. Jackie says, if you don't make a mess, are you really cooking? And you know, you are right. My husband says you can really wreck a kitchen in like minutes. And yeah, I can. So the nice part about the glass jars is you can microwave them minus the lid and the ring if you forget to defrost. Yes, you can. You can set them on auto defrost and that'll kind of take the temperature down slowly. But yeah, you can put them in the microwave to defrost them. Jackie's done water bath canning and would like more practice at pressure canning. You know, Jackie, I've only done pressure canning a few times. I got a new pressure canner last year, I think it was, and I've tried it, I think 3 times. I'm still a little leery about it. So I'm not at a point where I can start trying to teach anybody how to do that pressure canning. Even though people have asked me to show how to do it, I'm still learning it myself. So you know who I like to watch is Cassandra at Becoming a Farm Girl. She does a good job with pressure canning, or Lisa at Sutton's Days. So Lurker Smurf says she has a gallon Ziploc in the freezer with, ooh, some kind of little gnat or something just flew in front of my face. A gallon Ziploc in the freezer with scraps. Mushroom stems get their own baggie. You know what? I never have any leftover mushrooms, but they probably could be good in that too. Jackie's Lurker is telling Jackie it took her years to get up the nerve to try pressure canning. There was a very good sale in Amazon points that made the canner almost free, so now she's getting more secure about it. I gotta, you know, I'm still working at mine. Bought 4 more cases of jars and splurged on the big box of lids from 4 jars. So still waiting for that break-even point. You know, I've not tried the 4 jars lids. I only buy ball. That's what I started using, and so that's what I always use, is I use the ball jars. But I've heard that the 4 jars lids are pretty good. Lisa Sutton swears by them. Jackie tends to freeze more than she cans today. It's quicker, but it doesn't have the shelf life of canning. Well, you know, when I freeze the broth, I have not tried pressure canning the broth because you can't water bath can the broth because of the protein in it. Or if it's, even if it's vegetable broth, it's low acid, so you've got to pressure can it. I've not done that yet, but even though it takes up the room in my freezer, I use it up quickly enough that that's usually not a problem, except in fishing season. And hubby always wants to put these little ice pack things where I put my broth. And I'm like, look, that doesn't go there. But if I take a jar out and he sees an empty space, then that little ice pack thing is going to go in there. Blossom in rot on the tomato plant. Temperatures, watering, and humidity play a part. The temperature has been absolutely crazy here because you know we've had that heat dome. But yeah, I've had rot on this one whole section, this one whole tomato plant. It's just rot on the base of the tomatoes. I just threw the tomatoes away. I should probably go ahead and pull that tomato out. Could also be calcium deficiency in the soil. This one's in a container, but it could be, I bought some organic potting soil or container soil for that, for my containers, but still maybe I didn't have enough stuff in them. Jackie eats plant-based. Her husband eats the standard American diet. My husband, well, we've been doing the standard American diet forever, and then I've been leaning into plant-based because my doctor said that I need to work on more plant-based, less meat, to try to get my numbers up. So I'm trying to work on my various numbers on my lab. So that's why I'm trying to do more plant-based. Oh, Jerry says blossom in rot too. She'll send me some information. Okay. Yeah. I've never seen that before. And I was like, my goodness, what's going on with those? But it is so nice to see all you guys. So what are you guys making for dinner? Nobody told me what they're making for dinner just yet. I'm waiting for everybody to get back from the football game, and then we're going to go out to the seafood place. It's called Stormin' Crabs, and they have those crab boils and crab cakes and all kinds of things. And they also have chicken wings and chicken strips. So I'll find the chicken wings and the chicken strips. I'll get something in that vein. So, all right, so anybody else out there, what are you having for dinner? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, it's time for us to go, because you know I don't just get on here and say, oh, what are you doing? Let's just, no. I like to have a purpose when we get on. So, unless there's a reason. Oh, and then a couple people have asked about my cat, Archie. I had to take that kitty cat to the vet again on Friday. He is always getting into fights. And cats will come over here to our house to fight him. So he had been, last weekend he came home because he's an outdoor cat and he was limping for 4 days. And I thought, okay, we got to take him to the vet. There's something really wrong with his paw. It's always the same paw. But by the time the vet opened up on Monday, he was better. So then this week, well, I guess today is Sunday, so it would have been last week. So the other event would have been the week before. He was limping again. And I said, honey, let's just take him to the vet. Today is Friday. Let's just take him. I don't want to wait. Let's just take him to see what's what. Because one other time, he had an abscess that had gotten on his shoulder, and he had to have a little surgery on it to, to get the abscess all cleaned up, and IVs and antibiotics and all of that. So I thought, let's just nip this in the bud. And he had been in another fight, and there was some scabs on the on his paw. And oh my goodness. Let's see. I don't know. Can you guys see that? Look at there. Doggone. Oh my goodness. Doggone. Thank you so much. And he says, Archie, love, to help with the vet bills. Oh, thank you. It was $179. Now, hubby went with me to take him to the vet. And usually when I come out, he'll say, how much was that? He didn't ask this time, so I didn't tell him. But I also picked up his flea medicine as well, which is like $25 a month for that. But he had the scabs on his paw where he had some bite marks there. So he had to get antibiotics for that. I mean, it was an injection, so he gave him the shot and then checked him over. He wasn't dehydrated. And then we talked about his food. And the vet says he wants me to give him more wet food and less dry food. But I feed him 3 times a day, and he said the amount that I'm giving him 3 times a day is good because his weight is pretty stable, but I need to be concerned about dehydration in these really hot days. And we bought a fountain that we have out there on the porch for him, and the water runs continuously. So yes, so thank you, doggone. I appreciate it. I appreciate the Archie love. People always ask about him, and I appreciate the Archie love because, like I said, my husband's like, look, we're going to put this cat up for adoption. Because, I mean, it's like having another child. So, but thank you, doggone. I so appreciate it. I have to call my sister, Mickey Blue Skies, and let her know that you sent me this Snapchat for, not Snapchat, but the thank you chat for Archie, because I really appreciate it. Yeah, vets are very expensive, and I appreciate that. All right, so any other questions you guys have? And everybody, if you want to thank doggone for me, like give them a way to go or just a little heart or something, because I do appreciate this. You guys don't have to do that. And when you do, it just lets me know that you guys appreciate what I do and what I share. And I know I haven't had as many new videos up lately because I was working on my canning course. And there's 8 videos in that course, plus the workbook and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, until I get this done, all I can do is go live. So that's what I've been trying to do, is to at least go live once a week so that you guys know what's going on with me over here. So thank you. So, okay. So people are giving doggone a thumbs up. Superstar Bella says her cat loves the water fountain. She takes her cat to the Humane Society vet, cheaper than regular vets. I didn't know you could take animals to the Humane Society for vet purposes. But we have the vet that we go to, it's probably about a couple miles, like straight down the road. And since I started taking him there, they've got all his medical records and all of that. But yeah, vets are super expensive. I didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue. Well, okay, I think I'm going to let you guys go then. I don't have anything else. But for those of you that joined late, I was making vegetable broth. So I'm going to bring you back over here so you can see it. There you go. So here's the vegetable broth that I made. And I've got 3.5 jars like this. And then I've got 6 of these ball plastic freezer jars. And then these jars do have a lid. And I just put the lid on. And the nice thing about this is when you put the lid on, it snaps on. And then let's say I overfill the jar when I put it in the freezer. When it expands, if it's overfilled, it will push the jar, the lid up, since they do just kind of pop on. It'll push the lid up, so it's not a problem there. But I'm going to wait until it's cooled off. Now, with these jars, remember, you only want to fill it to this. There's a fill line in here, and that fill line is like right here. You don't want to fill it past there, so that as it expands up, once you put your lid on, depending upon what kind of lid you have, I like to use these ball lids, leak-proof lids. However, these are screw-on lids and they don't push up. So I need to make sure that I've got plenty of head space in the jar so that it doesn't cause the jar to crack. Because if you get the lid on too tight, and again, the lid's not going to push up, the jar will crack because that space has got to come from somewhere. So I can put this lid on, or you can do or you could do your screw bands, you know, the ones or you could put these on. You can put these lids on and do it that way. However, keeping in mind that when you use these, and oh, speaking of that, so let me just share something with you. Since we're talking about lids. So when you're canning, you don't reuse these lids for canning. They're single use only. However, if I'm going to put this in the freezer, I can reuse this lid to put it in the freezer. Just put it on, you know, that kind of thing, because it's not sealing like that. So I will save these lids for things like that. Or if I'm going to vacuum seal them, I'll save it and I'll put it on for things like that as well. But they're going to sit here until they're completely cooled before I do anything else with them. All right. So let me walk around real quick to see if anybody else said anything else that I need to address. Nope, got it all done. So have a great evening, you guys. And thank you so much for joining me. And doggone, I have to say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you. Bye.